What's up, everybody? Welcome to TeslaFix. Today we have a very exciting episode because, of course, there's a lot happening in the Teslaverse again. We have the Tesla Semi sighting, where they tested FSD on the Semi. And with the October 10th event now right around the corner, we have to look into also the performance of Tesla as well, and a little bit about FSD today. And I have somebody with me. Let's see who it is.
Welcome to TeslaFix. Make sure to subscribe and like this episode.
Lars is here back again on my channel, and since I've abandoned my channel like crazy the last 2 months, I hope people are still here. What's this number? Oh, that's just 200 views so far. That's pretty sad. I think you should hit that like button as well. Lars, I'm very glad you're here.
Yeah, good to be back on the TeslaFix channel.
Everybody's talking about the Robotaxi and stuff. I get it. It's absolutely amazing what's going to happen, but I think we're going to start with the Semi because we've recently had the IAA transportation thing in Germany where there was also the Semi showcased, because this one is also very important for the European market. So what do you think about a Semi that's autonomous? Probably a good idea, right?
Yeah, that's definitely going to change things. And I think it came as a little bit of a surprise. People were kind of forgetting about the semi-truck altogether because it has been so long, even since they made the deliveries to Pepsi. So it was good to see them at the event in Germany, because we just got so much information out of the lead engineer. Can't remember, Dan something.
Dan, yeah.
Yeah. So that was a great keynote he did, and there were so many people. Jan from the EV Universe did some great coverage down there as well. So that was a lot of people down there covering, and we got a lot of great news about the semi-truck. But people are kind of forgetting that this truck will also get full self-driving at some point, and we have just seen some footage. Footage of the semi-truck driving with LiDAR and other test equipment on it.
But Lars, why do Tesla use LiDAR? I thought they said it's gruesome, and also that all this LiDAR startups actually fell off a cliff afterwards. So why are they using LiDAR here, Lars? Can you explain maybe?
They actually do that on all their test vehicles. They do use LiDAR to test that their system is actually working correctly, and they because their vision-based system is kind of making a LiDAR map of the world around it, but just with vision only. So they are using the LiDARs to test that everything is working properly. So you will see it on all the test vehicles, but you will never see it on a production model. So this is very exciting, also because it comes at the same time as we saw the Tesla Cybertruck getting full self-driving. So that basically confirmed and showed us that the Tesla software, their neural net that are driving all the other cars, the 3, the Y, the S, and the X, and now also the Cybertruck can work on any form factor. So it's only a question of training the system and get that up and running. And they have done that with the Cybertruck within a year. So yeah, it seems to be doing it pretty well, pretty fast. So I expect if they're already training the Tesla semi-truck within a year, we should have the Tesla semi-truck driving around with full self-driving capabilities. So that could be very beneficial for truck drivers. It doesn't have to be able to drive itself completely, but just with what we're seeing now with the full self-driving beta testers and 12.5.5 and what it's capable of, if that's going to, the truck is going to be able to do that, that's going to put take away a lot of stress from the truck drivers on long haul drives where they're just on the highway for 5 hours or something like that. So that's going to be absolutely awesome. And then we, of course, have just seen today, I think it was, that McDonald's also made a little post about the 1010 event. So, and Elon is following.
I'm gonna pull it up.
Yeah, the marketing manager over there or something. So definitely something happened, and Tesla definitely have something going on with McDonald's at the 1010 event. What, we don't know. It could be it could be robotaxis, but it could also be that they are the next customers for the Tesla semi-truck, of course. And it could just be that, but if they are hyping the 1010 event, I'm guessing it's more than just that they are going to get a couple of semi-trucks. So maybe McDonald's is the partner that is going to get some semi-trucks and testing the full self-driving, because we have to remember Tesla doesn't have beta testers for their semi-trucks. that is only Tesla and only themselves doing that. So to get a partner doing that and try to help them develop the full self-driving for the semi-truck could be very interesting if that is what they are teasing here. I don't know.
Yeah,
What do you think?
yeah, I think it's interesting because the fun thing is we also had this footage of the prototype vehicle, and I was actually, before they announced that, like McDonald's did that, I always referred to it as the Ronald McDonald looking car. So coincidence that they wrapped it yellow? I'm not sure, but I think that on that note, this could be actually maybe for delivery or something like that, or I mean, I think it's maybe more the trucks, the semi-trucks could be, or that they have a special showcase with maybe even the Tesla bot gets out of the Robotaxi and brings your food order from McDonald's, and this could also be. So I'm maybe they just use the hype, which also could make sense. But
Yeah.
if they announce it like this, chat's going to explode, like I said in their post. I think actually that it's probably more than that. I think they will have some showcase.
Just semi-truck, right?
Exactly.
Just like what
So
Pepsi is already doing. So yeah, must be something.
yeah, absolutely. And I wanted to just also highlight here because you talked about that before that. Here's some footage of the Cybertruck actually driving around. Yeah, it's crazy. You already see it that it works, and it's fun to finally see it on the Cybertruck as well. Because when I was in the US to test it, I just was able to test FSD 12.4.1, which was so sad. And you also tested it, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, we really got the real tour, which is crazy. Yeah. To see it. Yeah, it was so fun. But I haven't published any videos so far of it. We're gonna go into that soon. My Cybertruck review, Lars, if you can imagine it or not, will be released soon. So be careful on the lookout for that. But so how do you think these applications or implications are? I mean, with McDonald's maybe there, so the event is pretty hyped. Do people in Europe actually kind of see what's happening there?
I really don't think so. Because the people I talk to, in a way, even my friends and people that are also interested in Tesla, they don't follow it as deeply as we, of course, do. And most of this is something we catch on Twitter and a few tweets here and there. So it's not something that the mainstream media is talking about, and definitely not getting all the way over here to Europe. So the hype for the 1010, I don't think many people know there is a 1010 Tesla event, because it's just not a known factor over here. And I think many people don't truly believe in the full self-driving system yet in Europe, because we don't have it here. We have seen Tesla and my Tesla Model 3 with 5.5 years now. I have full self-driving on that one, but that has basically not gotten much better over the last 5 years.
Yeah.
So people see that and test that and then think that is where Tesla is at. So they're not better than this. But then we see the full self-driving videos from the US, and the 12.5.5 are just like amazing. We have seen this video of Homer's catalog, summing the car from inside a grocery store while he's walking out, and then the car comes picking him up. Then he puts in his home address, and it just drives him home with no interventions. It's like, whoa, that's Robotaxi level right there.
Absolutely. And yeah, it's this one is amazing. I mean, Tesla showed a lot of ass in the US so far, which is nice. The actual smart summon is actually there, and this was so crazy. When we were in the US, we've tested it. So we had a glimpse at least. I think you've also tested 12.4.1, right? Without
that was the version that was out of that.
Without steering wheel input. So you could sit in it and just let it drive. Yeah. So this one was already so interesting to witness, because I didn't have to take over. It just worked. And it was I couldn't test it for 1 week or something like this, but experiencing it for me was totally crazy. How was it for you to experience FSD?
Yeah, it was even though I had full self-driving on my car and it's driving me basically on the highway, it's a different thing when it's just driving around in the city, on city streets, and then pulling over and parking on the side of the road. Like, oh my God, mind blown. So yeah, it was a big deal. And there's just nobody else outside the Tesla community that really knows about this stuff here in Europe. So I think this is going to come out of the blue, and I think it's going to be a
Yeah.
big shock to people when they're going to reveal the Robotaxi and talk about they maybe even have it in production or whatever, and have these on the streets in the US maybe by the beginning of next year. Who knows? So yeah, that's going to be a total shock to Europe, in my opinion, because nobody believes Tesla is anywhere near. And of course, it hasn't helped that Elon Musk has every year said, this year we're going to have full self-driving.
But this year, and this year,
But I do believe we're getting really close now.
So what are your thoughts on that? Because I think this is an important point. Does it really matter if it took 6 years longer now? You know what I mean? Really?
Yeah.
Like, is it so important that it wasn't earlier? I mean, this is so crazy, this technology. It's a seismic shift.
Yeah, it's going to be, it doesn't matter if it's 2025 or 2028 for that matter. If we still have to wait another 3 or 4 years, it doesn't really matter because it's going to be so huge and the implications are going to be so big that it's going to change the whole automotive industry. So when we're looking back 10 years from whenever it came out, we're going to look back at all this and forget all about the noise that has been. And yeah, Elon promised a lot, but he eventually came through with the full self-driving and so on. I think it's going to be the same as we have seen with so many other things about Tesla that people said it cannot be done. The Model 3 cannot be done. Even the Model S was called vaporware, and there are no way they have the capital to get a sedan to market. And well, they did, and the same thing with the Model 3 and the Model Y was vaporware, and the Cybertruck was just a dog pump, and we can all look back and laugh at that now, and I think we're going to be doing quite the same thing with full self-driving at some point. Like, yeah, it was inevitable. We can all see it when we're looking back, right? But I think we're getting really, really close with this version 12 that we have seen this year. Tesla just managed to get all of those milestones here in September that they promised, and that was a lot. That was a big ask for their Tesla AI team to get all that. Even many Tesla bulls were out saying that that's probably a stretch.
Improbable.
Yeah, but on the last day of September, they got the last two with the Cybertruck and the highway on full neural networks. So that was pretty exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to ask you something. Have you heard of Gordon Johnson recently?
He has been quite quiet since the Cybertruck came out, actually.
Strange. I thought it was also vaporware and didn't
exactly.
come into fruition. So
like
for those who don't...
They said they're going to have the delivery when he said, it's not a real truck.
Well, Nikola Motors was not a real truck, the Badger. So, so for people who don't know, Gordon Johnson is actually a huge Tesla bear, and he really doesn't believe in Tesla, and is a financial analyst, let's say it like this. He runs I think a fund or something like this, and is always interviewed in the finance media, and of course he is awfully quiet right now. It's strange. Maybe they even don't invite him anymore, but hey. But I think it's so interesting to see now with Mercedes with a level 3 autonomy system. Haven't you heard they are in the lead here? Of course.
I saw a video of him, the Ola, their CEO, driving his level 3 and watching movies and all that good stuff. It must have been awesome. A long traffic jam. He has been in.
Exactly. So he had a car he could follow. The sun was not low standing, so this was a good thing. And also tunnels,
no rain,
no tunnels. No rain, no construction sites as well. Yeah. So, how do you think it compares? Because, I mean, with FSD on the horizon, is there any competition? I know that for me, I didn't see one. Have you heard of something so far?
No, I think the whole full self-driving saga is, there is Tesla, and then there is everyone else, because everyone else is using a different technology, but everyone else is starting to realize that LiDAR is not the way. We are seeing the fall of LiDAR right now from the manufacturing,
Yeah.
and we also see the LiDAR companies' stocks are falling down because Xpeng is switching from LiDAR to their vision-based Mobileye
Nobody.
is doing the same thing. So, and we have seen that Baidu in China has talked about that they would like to partner with Tesla, but why would they do that if they have something that works? Because they have
Yeah.
robotaxis on the streets and all that kind of stuff. But they have the pretty basically the same technology as Waymo in the US. So it's basically the same thing. So it's LiDAR and it's geofenced areas, mapped areas. So they're gonna scale up really, really slow. They wanna scale up next year to, I can't remember how many cities, but more than 100 cities. So they want to do stuff, but I just think that people don't get the difference in the technologies and what Tesla has done and what the other guys are doing, because what the other guys are doing is just not scalable. You will never map the whole world. It is impossible to do so. It's just an unbelievable task to try to map the whole world that is changing all the time and so on. So you have to continue to map the whole world. And well, the car seems to become cheaper and cheaper, even though Baidu has said they could make a car for, can't remember it, $36,000 or something like that. So they're getting cheaper, but Waymo is still like quite expensive to get these cars. So the investment they have to do to get the amount of vehicles, to get the training data that Tesla has, because Tesla gets data from all their fleet in shadow mode, where the car is just trying to guess what the driver is going to do, even if it's not driving. So they get that from almost 7 million vehicles at this point. So there's just no one that's going to catch Tesla when it comes to the data. And I believe that what Tesla has done here by making it saying, okay, we need to solve AI to make a full self-driving car. It's impossible to program your way out of every scenario that the car could come across. So they realized this 2-3 years ago when they switched over and said, we're going to make it a neural network that is driving the car. So we're going to make it intelligent enough so when it comes to a situation it haven't encountered before, it doesn't know what to do, but it's intelligent enough to figure out what to do. Just like if we come up across something we haven't tried before on the road, we know what to do. Park to the side if something happens, if like crash or whatever it might be. So, and Tesla is building these huge supercomputers as well that is going to help the training of the full self-driving system even further. Nobody else is doing all of this. Nobody else is spending $10 billion in this year alone on supercomputer as Tesla is. So nobody is taking this approach, but I believe that this approach is the right one, because all the others, they're not going to map the whole world. It's too unscalable what they're doing, and they're still using LiDAR, which many are starting to realize that was a dead end, as Elon said 5 years ago. So, so I truly believe that we're getting really close, and I don't think that anybody else is getting close. They can make their little Waymo taxis in some cities and increase the area, but it's going to be painfully slow. And when Tesla has solved it, they have a general solution. Then it's only a question of regulatory approval to get them to drive wherever in the world. So yeah, I don't see any competition actually.
Okay, great to hear it as well, or sad to hear it as well. I think. I mean, for me, like Tesla having a monopoly is not the best thing. I would much rather have competition there, and also, companies that jump on the bandwagon. But credit where credit is due when they are pushing the technology to this boundary, and even pushing the boundaries further and further to solving this. I think that's very interesting, and in comparison to the competition that we see from Europe, for example, the legacy car manufacturers here have such a strong lobby arm as well, and they're like the news are heavily against Tesla. You can really tell it's like in Germany, it's very crazy right now, because they have with Tesla. I've discussed this with Alex Voigt in an episode before this, that they have a scapegoat with Tesla, that they can just say, "Oh, look, look, a car burned out because of because it was flooded. So wow, how crazy is this?" And they are just nitpicking at this point. But yeah, it's interesting to see how the narrative is there. But sales are falling off a cliff in China, for example, and Mercedes relies heavily on, for example, on the sales of China, which are over 60% of their car business is from China. And this is crazy. And VW as well, they need the Chinese market, but they are losing grip like crazy because, yeah, you can really see that it fell off a cliff. I've discussed this with Alex Boyk last time. But do you think that they have any chance, but just with partnering with Tesla, how probable do you think FSD will be implemented with VW, for example, or Porsche, or I mean, Porsche is special, so they will always drive themselves.
I think it's going to be. It's going to be the last resort. They don't want to do this. They don't want to licensing anything from Tesla. We can also see that with Volkswagen partnering up with Rivian for helping them with software. They could just have partnered up with Tesla and got their software and get everything running, but they don't want to promote Tesla in that way. So they're going to do it as the last resort. But if we're right and Tesla is going to solve this and have a solution that works everywhere and have robotaxis on the street that works everywhere in the world, every other car is basically going to be obsolete at that point. Why would you not buy a Tesla Model 3 for 40,000, or in the US with tax incentive is crazy, you can get them for under 30,000 that can drive itself. Or you can buy a Mercedes that can't drive itself and it's more expensive. Who in their rightful mind is going to do this? Because it's also going to be Tesla is already a much safer car. But when we have a car that can, even if you want to drive it, it will be shadowing moding you and making sure that you don't crash. So we are basically going to have cars that can't crash anymore. You can't crash a Tesla because it's already always alert. It's not going to be us supervising the full self-driving. It's going to be the full self-driving that's going to be supervising us driving. So even before we get to robotaxis at scale all over the world, just Tesla having this software in their cars is going to be a huge thing, even when it's supervised here in Europe, because suddenly everybody will see how good Tesla software really is. And on long stretches down through Germany is such a long country, man. It takes forever to get down to the mountains. But luckily they have a very long and fast highway. But it's going to be awesome when you can just turn your car on from my garage and 12 hours later with very little, I just have to supervise the car. I'm in Austria and skiing, that's going to be absolutely amazing. And if my car can do that, and I can show that to my neighbors and everybody else, and Tesla's cars are not expensive. So that's and they're coming with more affordable models next year. And then they're going to come with a really affordable models whenever they're going to come out with that unboxed production method. So Tesla's going to have cars that are already compatible or not compatible.
Comparable?
It can compete on price already today. But in a year, let's say, that it can also drive itself. That's the value is going to explode for Tesla. And whoever is going to want to buy an BMW M3 at that point, they can hardly be, it's hardly a reason to buy it today because the Tesla Model 3 performance already outperforms it and it's electric and so on. So who's going to buy those ICE cars then? Because this is never going to be a technology that's going to get into an ICE car. This is for electric vehicles, these autonomous software. So it's going to make Tesla's demand explode when people know they can get a full self-driving car. And they're probably going to do some kind of, subscription so everybody can afford it at some point. Or maybe they're just going to have it as also a software where you just get the safety assist features. So if you can't afford it or can rent the monthly subscription, maybe you can just have it as a supervised full self-driving, but the other way around, that it's supervising you. So you're in this safe car that you basically cannot crash because the car will not allow it.
I think even that they will roll out this feature anyway because it's a safety feature, the same like the belt buckle. I think also to gather data as well. I mean, they already do. I think, of course, Shadow Mode is running on our systems already and mapping out Europe the whole time. I can assume so. I'm not sure 100%, but the interesting thing also here that you've kind of mentioned, and I wanted to add something there, is that it's not even about buying a new Tesla. It's about buying a Tesla from 2019 or 18 that is already capable of using the software, which means you can buy a used one. And now the fun thing is actually with Tesla that car manufacturers or Tesla has margins of around probably it's now at 5,000 or 6,000 or something like that. I'm not sure. Right now it was 12,000 when the price was pretty high in 2022, I think, or 2023 in the beginning. And now we have the situation where you buy the system for 7,000 euros on top of that because you bought a cheap Tesla, and then you buy the update, and suddenly they have $7,000 in margin right there, just with software. And or you could subscribe monthly and forget about it, and then probably will rack up to 7,000 pretty soon. So it's a crazy model that when you think about it, it's pretty.
Both used and new Teslas are gonna be, the demand is gonna be insane, because in the US, I just made a video about that as well. You can get my Tesla Model 3 from 2019 for $16,000, and I still love that car. It's an amazing car, and mine has full self driving. So just adding on like $7,000 for $25,000 or less than $25,000, you can get a full self driving Tesla. The demand for the used Teslas is going to be amazing as well. It's just going to blow up, and that's also why, I mean, if nobody else solved this, and I just don't see the competition right now because everybody is working on this dead end with LiDAR and geofencing, so they're not going to have a car that can drive across the country as Teslas can. So they are kind of forced, if they don't want to be this obsolete Nokia 33 phone, they have to get Tesla software, or they're going to. They're declining now because of the ICE sales to EVs, but when we going to talk about ICE sales versus an autonomous car, it's just going to
just mobility, which they are solving mobility, which is they don't like. I mean, car manufacturing is one thing, but they can't even compete with car manufacturing. And now they're coming out. We finally have a very cheap EV for you guys, and they're like, it can drive itself because we're already doing that for 6 years now.
No, but we made a frunk.
Wow. I think like also with VW scrapping their Artemis, pushing it out to 2032 or something like this.
32. Like that was the platform that was supposed to save them, right? And like Elon always says, it's like you need 3 iterations of a product to really get the good one, and they're still on the first one with the MEB platform. So, and now they scrapped their MEB. That's the rumors anyway. I don't know if we have confirmed yet, but they are scrapping their spending because they're cutting costs. That's crazy. So they don't want to spend money on making the MEB Plus platform and just focus on the next one that they have pushed out to 2032. So I don't know what Volkswagen is going to do over the next 5, 6, 7 years here. I thought Volkswagen was the one that could do this, also because they was the quickest to ramp up their EVs and are selling pretty good, pretty decent. But they kind of stalled now with the growth of their EVs, and they are just making all the wrong moves at the moment, in my opinion.
Do you think it's a good move to remove or not offer the heating and cooling system for the battery to get the ID3 price down? Is that a good idea? No. I mean, that's a core feature of an EV because it's like it secures that the battery doesn't die. And as you know, being from Denmark, should you have a warm battery in winter? Because it's pretty cold
nice.
here. That would be nice.
Because they're just gonna cheapen down their cars so much that the value you're gonna get, even though they can get the prices down and they can get a little bit of profit or whatever they're aiming for, it's not gonna be value compared to what you get with a Tesla. Like Tesla has, like they showed at the Investor Day, they went from 2018 to 2022. They reduced the price of the Model 3 with 30%, the cost for them to make it. But they made the car better and better and better every year. And that's really what sets them apart from everybody else, I would say, is that they are focusing on cost reduction in the production method and stuff like that, not in cheapening down their cars, because that's basically how traditional automakers are making small, cheap, affordable cars. They're just cheaping it down. They're not making an automatic trunk. They're not putting in nice interiors and no tow hitch and all that kind of stuff. But the problem for the legacy automakers and someone like Volkswagen is, like you have also said before, that they have already cheapened down their electric cars. It's cheap materials inside. And the first time I tried the ID3, I was like, this is all plastic. It feels very cheap inside, but it's not a cheap car. So like I said, it's a very nice little electric vehicle, but it's too expensive for what you get. And if they're just going to cheap that one down, the value you get for your money is going down. But Tesla has a Tesla Model 3 standard range that costs basically the same as an ID3 now. But have you seen that refresh? Oh yeah, you got one. With screen in the back, ventilator seat. They have not cheapened that car down. They have made it so much better than the old one, but have the same price still. This is where Tesla really kicks ass, and nobody in the industry is noticing it. And they are going to take this not to the next level, but take it 10 steps up with the Unboxed production method that I am crossing my fingers that we're going to see something about at the 1010 event in only 7 days now.
Yeah, so get this man his invite so he can go there.
I don't have time to get over there.
Yeah. Well, you could video call it, just wave your ticket to all the people who didn't get it. Yeah, I think you're totally spot on there. And at this point, I've said that to Alex the last time too. I feel like a broken record and repeating myself, you too. I think you could just re-upload stuff from the last years. Nobody will notice because it's the same story almost. Yeah. We could just change the numbers a bit. Yeah, it's I don't know. It's repeating ourselves all the time, even in the dire times that we had before. Like the past few months were chaotic, and Elon didn't. I mean, he already said that there will be a dip years ahead, and that growth might be stagnated for some time. But we see that unfold. But we are so deep in the deep end here as well, and to see that now unfolding even more now to this point. If this is correct, then this will be such a game changer. And also with the regulation, how probable do you think it will be that FSD will get approved in Europe? Because, how long can we sit on the sideline as Europeans and just drool over the videos in the US? And then at some point, they cannot justify it anymore, even if, especially when the safety data comes out, that it's safer to operate.
Yeah. I'm going to sound like a broken record once again. I think it's going to catch on as a virus when they have solved it and can show it to the world. Because even though we have very strict regulators here in Europe and we have a lot of red tape we need to go through, they are still data driven. So if Tesla can show the data that their cars are 10 times safer than everyone else, they're not going to sit on their hands and say, no, we want to kill people. Yes, let us kill some more people before we get this approved. Yeah. Of course not. Also because Tesla, as we talked about, could put it in as a safety feature and show that their cars basically cannot crash because the car is watching you. If you try to drive off the road, it will take over and not let you drive. You will not be able to crash the car. And if they are going to make a system like that and show it to the regulators that, hey, our cars don't crash, we can drive better than your drivers, why should they not approve it? Yes, it's going to take time because it's Europe and we have a lot of bureaucracy, but eventually Europe cannot sit still and just watch the US have this amazing technology that's saving lives. And I believe that China is going to be pretty aggressive as well, because they also want to show this, be the forerunner in all this technology. So I think that's going to put a lot of pressure on Europe to approve this. And the data is going to show that, of course, they should approve this. So I think it's a no-brainer, but it's going to take longer time in Europe than most other places.
Yeah, Yeah, I also think so. And it's it's pretty shocking for me to see that it still takes so long. But of course, it needs to unfold. And if especially people visit the US, get a rental, and then test it out, and suddenly they realize, wait a second, this is normal. And was something that when I also read the comments on X, for example, I don't know how you feel about this, but when you read that, the system disengaged here, this was bad, and stuff like this, and you're like, wait a second, these guys drive with this system every day to work, and they don't like have maybe one disengagement. And I am happy with my lane assist here.
Yeah.
Because since that's pretty interesting. It's a different software stack, but since I've tested it, I'm even more confident in even the lane assist. So I get a kind of feeling sometimes like I would drive an autonomous vehicle, and sometimes I even take the hands off the steering wheel for 1 second when I'm driving home, like just like I'm calming down, and then until you see the nag, then I of course take over. But it's interesting at like stop and go traffic when I have my hands up, or drinking a bottle of water, for example, with my hands up. And I can imagine driving myself and people passing by, and the thing steers itself already. And so that's my small fun that I can have with I imagine this FSD at least, but because it was
I think
so
people
crazy
just gonna
to
get used
witness.
to it. Because many people saying they will never get in a robotaxi, but I think when people start to realize the dangerous thing is you driving and not the system driving, because I feel much more unsafe when I'm on the highway and the car's not driving and I'm keeping an eye on it, especially if it's a long drive, because I know I'm a human. I get distracted. The kids are screaming behind or whatever. I'm changing a song or whatever it might be, or watching the navigation and stuff like that. I get distracted, but the car does not. So I know I feel much safer when that's on than it's not on. So I think it's gonna, people are gonna get used to that pretty quickly when we have full self-driving cars.
Yeah,
Also because we can see the statistics of how much better it is at driving than we are.
Yeah, I think you highlighted a good point here that I was driving to Slovenia for the holidays once, or visiting actually Dreamcase over there for a sponsorship, probably. But yeah, let's see how this unfolds. But I visited there, the factory and stuff, and I drove down there, and it was so interesting to drive this 8-hour drive or 6.5-hour drive from where I live, or 7 hours. I had one charging stop in between in Munich, or at the border to Austria. And then I came there with 10%, and I basically I think 80% of the drive I had it in just lane assist, and I don't even have with lane switching. And it was totally fine to drive this long drive, and I haven't tested that before. So this was my first long drive, and it was so beautiful there that I actually drove back 2 or 3 days later and got my wife and my kid and drove back again. I just drove one day there, slept, and drove the other day back. And I had three times. I was back and forth, which is crazy, but it worked because I could do that. And I mean, this is not new, and of course BMW also has a great system, and Audi has also a great lane assist feature, but with that other FSD stuff going on in the US, it's not comparable, because I know there will be a software update at some point, and suddenly the value of my car increased overnight.
Yeah, and I think what people are not really getting is the whole, when we're talking about full self-driving car and definitely the next generation vehicles, the Tesla is ready to do this at scale. I think that's really what people are not getting when Volkswagen is coming out and say a couple of weeks after Tesla said they're going to make this next generation $5,000 car, Volkswagen is out saying, hey, we are also going to come out with a $25,000 car, the ID2, blah, blah. Yes, but if you're going to make that for $25,000 and earn money on it, it's going to be very, very little. Or you have to cheapen down that car very much, as we talked about before. But it's going to be built on the same MEB platform that they cannot get profitable on the ID3 that they have already cheapened down. It doesn't have an automatic trunk or anything, So it's already a cheap car, and they want to make a car that's $15,000 cheaper with a profit. But what people are forgetting about the unboxed production method or the next generation vehicle is that they are not cheapening down a Tesla Model 3 to get to this low price. They have invented a whole new way of producing the car that is going to cut the cost for Tesla to produce a car in half. And we basically already know what Tesla's cost is for their vehicle. So if they are truly going to get to that goal of cutting the cost in half of the next generation vehicle with the next generation production method, the car they're going to produce is costing Tesla like $18,000 to build. So they can easily, when they're at scale, of course, easily build a $25,000 car with a 20% margin on it. That's BMW territory when it comes to margins. No other legacy automaker has ever made a small, little, compact vehicle with that kind of margin on. And I think that's also something that people are really not getting, that this $25,000 car, behind the scenes, it's going to be completely different. Yeah, that's the price of the Model S and X platform. And then and that's Tesla people that has told us this, so we know that that's the price of the Tesla Model 3 and Model Y platform. So that price is going to be cut in half for Tesla. So that's
I just wanted to show this because I've seen this channel floating around, and it has because you mentioned the unbox method. So at this point, please everybody check out Lars's channel. Of course, this is Best in Tesla. You probably are following him longer than me, but you could check it out. And I haven't subscribed, right? How long are we knowing each other? No, so please go ahead and just like his stuff and also subscribe to his channel. Just wanted to show this as well. I mean, the unbox process will be revolutionary. It's crazy.
Yeah, and I think, and I hope, I don't know, but I hope that is really one of the things that they're going to show off at the 1010 event with the Robotaxi, because I don't think they're going to use the first unbox production method on the $25,000 car, actually. I think the first one is going to be the Robotaxi, because we already know that they have the production line in the Texas factory, because Elon told us that in December last year, where he told Sandy Monroe that they are actually pretty far along building that production line. And he, on a weekly basis, overlooked that production line. And that is almost a year ago now. So they have been working on that single production line for more than a year. I know it's completely new technology, but Tesla is getting pretty good at this ramping up stuff. And a whole year, they built the China factory in 1 year and had production going. So I know this is a completely new technology, but it's not like the 4680 cell, where they also a lot of different chemistry and stuff with a dry cathode and all that kind of stuff that have made that process delayed. This is still just a car, and it's a simple car, because it's also been designed from the ground up with automation, design, and everything in the design from the get-go. So it's going to be, and it doesn't need to have all the different stuff that a Tesla have, because it's just going to be Robotaxi. Who cares what kind of interior, whatever it is? So they're going to cheapen that car down as well. So they can have this production vehicle in 1 year. I believe they already have the production line ready in the Texas factory. And I hope that is one thing they're going to show it as a 1010 event and say, well, our Robotaxi, the Cybercab, we have the production line ready. We're going to starting beta production now, and in 2025 we're going to ramp it up. Because the $25,000 car, they need that in very high volume, very fast. So they're not going to, I don't think they're going to reveal anything about that at the 1010 event, because they don't even have a production line ready for it. Because I don't believe it's the Texas one, because it's too small. They only have like one production line there. They're going to test everything out, because the Robotaxi doesn't need to be ramped up quickly. They can just build 1,000 of them and put them in San Francisco and test everything out. And then while they're building another 1,000 and putting that in Los Angeles and whatever, and ramp it really slowly up and testing out the unboxed production method and getting that nailed down And when in 2 years, the Mexico factory, or 3 years or whatever, the Mexico factory is up and running, and the expansion in Berlin and Shanghai is up and running, that is probably going to be built with the next generation production method. And they have nailed that down thanks to the production they have done of the Cybercab. So they should be ready at that point to just build a new factory with the new Unboxed production method, and then ramp that up as fast as nothing else. And so I hope and are speculating that they will reveal the Unboxed production method for the Cybercab and show us that they already have that production line ready in the Texas factory.
Yeah,
But
I can see that. And
I don't think people really understand how big of a deal this is, because it's just production. Who cares, But the rest of the industry is scrambling together now, try to get structural battery pack and giga castings, and Toyota is trying to copy Tesla's production method. And while they're all scrambling and doing that and have that ready in 2 or 3 years from now, Tesla is going to move the goalpost, not 1 step up, but 10 step up in production. It's going to be so revolutionary that they not going to be able to catch up to that for another 10 years or 5 years or whatever. But they're going to be left in the dust when it comes to production. And we know that the other guys are not even profitable on their electric vehicle platforms today, but Tesla is. But they're going to take this to a completely new level. I don't think people realize how disruptive that production method is going to be for the entire industry. Tesla is going to be able to set a price for their low entry-level electric vehicle, and basically nobody's going to be able to follow, not even BYD, because they are still not so far this year. They have a negative cash flow, so they're not earning any money right now, and we don't know per se if they're earning money on the EVs, because they still make half plug-in hybrids. So maybe the earnings is just on those cars and not on the electric vehicle. But right now, because of the price war, they're not earning any money basically right now. So BYD is complicating things. They have like 18 different models, but Tesla's 2 model, the Model 3 and Y, is basically earning the same kind of revenue as they are. So I think
you showed it here, right? The number here is 1 million.
1.17 million for BYD so far this year, and Tesla is at 1.293. So Tesla is still in front with 165,000 vehicle at the moment. But the production method is really, because they already have $25,000 electric vehicles, or 10,000 for that matter, in China. So they are already producing them, but they're not really making money on them. And that is really where Tesla is going to differentiate themselves, to have this new Unboxed production method coming out, both for the Robotaxis, to make that very, very affordable for them to produce, and also for their next generation vehicles. But the $25,000 car is not coming just yet. So I don't think they will reveal anything, because they have to make sure they don't get an Osborne effect if they show off this nice little electric vehicle, and then it's going to be years before they ever produce it, because we don't even have a factory for it yet.
Yeah, but what I can imagine is that the production line of the Robotaxi might be similar to the $25,000 car, because I think it will be the same platform, and then maybe they just have to pop in a steering wheel with steer-by-wire, and that's it. Probably could be, but the Robotaxi is a special designed vehicle. They already talked about that this will be different. So this means the seats will be different. It will have different standards. Maybe even that the seats can turn could be an option. I think it makes sense to make, but let's see how many passengers also can fit inside that. But I think it can be adapted pretty fast, and maybe it's a similar line or a similar process. Of course, the Unboxed process maybe. And I think they start with China after Texas, or the US rollout kind of, or even US might be just Robotaxis without the smaller car maybe, but they're gonna start it with in China and then Europe, like Germany, the northern part of the factory is my speculation that they're gonna build the line there, and then where they wanted to build batteries. So let's see how this unfolds, but speculation at this point. But I think it's very interesting what's happening right now, and it's very scary as well to see that. And but now
because
please go on.
Yeah, because people are kind of forgetting that Tesla has a battery factory at the Berlin factory that is already built, but they kind of halted that production because of
Yeah.
the new tax benefits in the US and wanted to get all those billions, of course, from the US government for building batteries and modules and battery packs in the US. But they have now also got their 4680 cell to volume production, so they have seems to have solved the bottlenecks of that one and are now testing the dry cathode. So when they build that next part of the factory, they could basically just supply that vehicle with their own homegrown batteries that is probably going to be cheaper than buying them from third-party suppliers, because they should be basically on par. They are on par with Panasonic's in terms of energy density, so probably also on par when it comes to cost, because there is no middleman, so to speak. So when they get that to even higher volume, they're going to save Tesla money, of course, and they can ramp that up in the Berlin factory and put that into the next generation smaller compact vehicle they're going to produce, hopefully, in that expansion that
Yeah.
we think it is. But they're going to have their own batteries there suddenly, because that was meant for the Model Y to be built specially in Berlin within 4680 cells, but that was all, of course, delayed. But that makes sense then to put that into the very affordable Model Y model they're going to build for the European market with their own homegrown batteries right there at the factory. That's going to be very tough to compete with for the German guys. Yeah.
Especially when manufacturing is like on their home turf.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Yeah. And I think what's also interesting is that also with the how Tesla is set up with Europe, for example, we had the news, and the news broke that of course we have tariffs now in China, and how it works, and it was up and down, and they were negotiating the prices, kind of how much tax they're gonna put on them. The automotive companies didn't like that, actually, of course, because they export to China, and this also means for them they might be penalized, because the Chinese government will just say, "Wait a second, we could turn this around too. How about we put some tariffs on your great Mercedes vehicles here, or stuff like this, or on food, on your food stuff like eggs, and we also export to China there as well, agriculture products." And I think they're positioned to just take on the Model 3 production, or the $25,000 car production. Then the Model 3 is actually not so important for the European market anymore, sadly, because I like the car. Of course, the performance version needs to compete with the BMW. Of course, we need more of that, please.
But I think you're right that because Tesla is uniquely positioned compared to basically everyone else, even the Chinese, because Tesla has their factory 100% owned in China. So they are actually getting the lowest tariffs in Europe from any Chinese export right now, as it seems. It's not finalized, of course, but it seems like Tesla is going to be the one with the least taxes on from Europe. So they're going to be able to export their vehicles from China to Europe the cheapest, cheaper than BYD can. And BYD is having trouble overseas because they only have factories in Asia. So they have to export everything to Europe, and that's why their cars are still not that affordable here compared to the ID3 or all the other cars, or even the Tesla Model 3. And Tesla does have a factory in Europe and in the US where BYD also want to get in. So I think Tesla is just uniquely positioned because they have thought 10 steps ahead and say we need a factory in Europe, we need a factory in Shanghai, in China, and we of course have one in the US. So they are positioned in the three biggest markets that stands for 80% of the car market in the world, and get the best benefits because nobody else has even got the deal like Tesla did in China with owning 100% of the factory. So there's nobody else that has that benefit but Tesla. And all the Chinese don't have the benefit that Tesla has with all the factories in the other continents. So I think Tesla is uniquely positioned to, when they enter this next wave, as Tesla has said, the next growth wave that is probably coming next year, with the two more affordable models. We kind of know is coming. We don't know what they are or when and where and what, but they have said that they're going to come out with two more affordable models because they can use some of the production method they have learned from the Unboxed production method on their current production line. So they can basically scale up to 3 million vehicles before they have to have a new factory ready. So they're going to use the next couple of years to do that, I think, and it's uniquely positioned to grow again next year. Hopefully, when interest rates are also going to come down further, and and we see car prices also starting to drop a little bit. So good times ahead, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And also with the cyber van on the horizon, we don't know when this will come out, but I think because we sadly haven't got the Cybertruck so far, I'm still very mad and furious. But Tesla Owners Club in Austria has one rolling around.
Yeah.
And I have even a very interesting interview lined up with somebody from Switzerland who actually has an American license plate and driving around in Zurich, around the Zurich area with this thing and renting this out already. He has a special, I will interview him what the hell is going on. So it's going to be interesting. It was the one who went viral in South Germany and in Switzerland, of course. So be patient for this. It will be fun to ask him some great questions and about this business model and how the hell he got it here, because I have a pre-order too, and I'm still looking for a way to do this, to get it to Europe. And maybe I need funding at some point. So, for now, I can't afford it to get it over here because it's way more expensive to import it. But there are possibilities. And of course, I don't know if you have seen it, but I think it was Hungary. No, was it Hungary? The country, like they managed to. Oh no, it was Romania, I think, or something. A European country from Eastern. Yeah, they managed to get it approved and have it on the street. And
I think it's Romania.
It was crazy to see that, but this means it is possible somehow to get it here. But this is European-wide now. They are registered in Romania and can drive all around Europe with this special type deal, how they did it. But the Cybervan, of course, will have a maybe bigger impact here because it will replace a Sprinter van, and I think this van category actually is a good thing here. What do you think, like in comparison to pickup truck? I heard rumors that you've tested the Cybertruck in the US. Not that I sat next to you and we drove it around, but with Tesla Tino's Tesla. Shout out here to Tesla Tino for letting us drive his car, and we tested many of those. So,
so, that was awesome, by the way. Yeah, and that Cybertruck has now been to the Arctic road up there that he did with the Tesla. That was pretty cool. But I think the van is even more important for us Europeans than the pickup truck. The pickup truck, I think, the Cybertruck would probably up the game for the pickup truck market here in Europe, because not that many have pickup trucks unless they need it for work. Definitely not here in Denmark. We don't use pickup truck much unless you have a farm or something like that. But the van is something that is very much used in, and I see even here around my area that people are buying the ID Buzz to use as a van for work. But if Tesla can make a very affordable one on a new production method and that can also drive itself, that is just gonna completely disrupt that part of the business as well. If you can tell your van to go pick up something at the hardware store with a Tesla robot in the back picking it up, that's going to be something different. But I think the van is a big market and definitely very important for the European market as well.
Do you think we will see, based on this platform, also a bigger robotaxi kind of that nobody expects, like a passenger thing? Like a bigger one, or just
because if they're gonna be very cheap to buy or to rent one, so it's like if you are 4 person, just rent 2. It doesn't matter. It costs like 20 cents per mile or something like that. So I don't know if it makes sense to make a whole new production platform, because Elon even said that buses are going to be obsolete when we have robotaxis that cost the same as a bus ticket. So even if you are 20 people, you just order 10 robotaxis because they're going to be as cheap as a bus. So I don't know if they're going to make that van kind of thing they kind of teased in the beginning that they were going to make for public transport, because it will add cost and complexity to Tesla and their production, and their whole mission is to accelerate all of this and get this to extreme scale. So that's going to kind of work against them if they're going to build out new production lines, new factories, and all that kind of stuff. So I'm struggling to find a good way of them making a robotaxi van and why they should do it, because they're going to be so cheap. Who cares that you can't sit 4 people in one? You just order 2, and you can order one more just for your luggage. They're going to be so affordable.
Yeah, true. That's a true point. But I also wanted to add here that they already lost, because last year somebody announced something. I wanted to show this here for 1 second, and I hope this won't demonetize this, because then the section needs to be cut out. But over here, that's why I'm doing like crazy stuff here with this window, and I hope that Mercedes don't demonetize us now. This is the Big E, and they did a fun, cool hip-hop video type of deal where, they are like showcasing the young, cool people, like having the Big E, the E-Sprinter. That's totally in their target audience, of course, because young fellas love Sprinter vans. They're down with the kids. You know what I mean? Like cool, with the cool kids. It's a little bit cringy.
You want to be the Cybertruck.
That's true. Imagine.
We also cool. Nah.
I have to do stuff like this. So if I'm distracting this, I just hope that Mercedes doesn't use this as an opportunity to demonetize this. So I'm gonna stop this here right now, but you get the point. Because I got a commercial on my phone on YouTube once, and I was like, wait a second, I gotta save this. I gotta have this as a segment. I just wanted to show that in the end as an anecdote here. What do you think about the Big E that we just saw?
Well, I think more electric vehicles are
sure.
Also, vans are great, and the Ford's Transit, E-Transit, great. Get more of those, because they don't usually drive as long, because they're used in cities and stuff like that, and then we have the semi-trucks for the long haul stuff. So the more the better, and and I think Mercedes is just really desperate to be as cool as Tesla with their Cybertruck, and all the celebrity ones, and are already in rap videos just because of the way it looks, and and now.
Well, how about you just produce one for yourself, and Well, this was a year ago. I didn't know that because it was recently just pushed out to me. But for the end of the episode, I wanted to go into the maybe the looks of the Cyber Cab then. So I have something here that is probably pretty interesting. And it was this one, because that in the monthly report, we had a silhouette over here on top. And I was going crazy on X. I've overlaid it. I've seen that it looks like a roadster, actually. That was what I speculated. But then I saw that these don't line up. And then I thought, wait a second, it's the silhouette of the Robotaxi. But I didn't have the time to compare it, of course, with other Teslas. And so I realized actually that it's just Model Y. And this makes a lot of sense. So I was pretty sad to see this. But at least we had some fun speculating. I sent it to you, and I'm very glad that you didn't use it as a source or something like this. So this was just not the Robotaxi.
I actually said it in a video, like, if they're going to show off the Roadster at the 1010 event, that's explode the internet, because they're gonna because that's a car that's not really gonna has an Osborne effect, because Tesla doesn't have a car like that, and it's much more pricey than all the other cars. So they can do whatever. They can show it now and have it in production in a year's time, whatever. So if they could, because Elon has said that it's going to be the most exciting reveal of all time, because it have these rocket boosters and whatever. And if they're going to show that as well at the 1010 event, that's going to be
one more thing.
But I just thought it would be cool if they at the 1010 event going to show off their semi-truck driving itself. It would be a nice come full circle, right? The semi-truck driving into the stage by itself, and in the back there is a roadster again, like they did in
Oh yeah, that would be pretty nice.
That would come full circle, and the internet would blow up.
Yeah,
that would be so fun. but
Absolutely.
yeah, slim chance.
Slim chance, yeah. So thank you very much, Lars, for being on my channel again. I think it was great to have you on and discuss these topics. We've slightly brushed over the delivery numbers, but I think it makes much more sense to talk about the Robotaxi and stuff like this and FSD because it's such a revolutionary thing. So please, everybody who don't follow you, check out Lars's channel, of course. He has a small channel that's a little bit less attractive than my channel, of course. But check him out. It's Best in Tesla. And please subscribe to him too. And and check out his content. I think it's a good thing. You already do such a nice work with covering Tesla and deep diving there. And it never just stops. Could you have imagined that it takes so long to know that you could still talk about one topic?
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. Still running now. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for having me, and it's been a pleasure as always.
Now, to the audience, please, everybody listen up. Lars will be forced to come back to the comments and answer the questions here. So do you agree or not agree with the statements we put out today? Do you see the $25,000 car revealed in the event, or do you think it's going to be pushed out?
I'd like to know what people think about full self-driving in the cybercab. Are we close, or are people still not believing Elon and his vision here?
Yeah. Lars, see you soon. And to everybody else, thanks for watching, and we see us next time.
Wasn't this episode awesome? Let's accelerate the pace of innovation by subscribing to TeslaFix. It is my absolute favorite channel on the whole interwebs.